Hello and welcome to In the Studio with Maggie Ramirez. Today we have a very lovely show for you talking about life design. How would you like to design your life? That's what this is all about. And I have a very special guest, a close friend of mine who I love to pieces. And I'm very honored to have here today because he gets to tell us about himself. We get to know him a little bit more, get to know what he's about and the wonderful things that he's doing. And who is that? That is Daniel Paraszkay. He is the owner and CEO of Spectrum Life Design Los Angeles. Daniel,
Hey.
thank you so much for being here
Absolutely.
today.
This is my pleasure.
So, life design. Tell us why life design is something that is important for you.
Well, when you put it like that, it's people. I say that people get to design their lives instead of having life design them. And there's a lot of people that we know around us where life is being done to them, and they're being reactionary to what is occurring,
Right.
as opposed to being the designer of your own life and saying what's so.
Right.
And saying this is the way life is going to be, and being responsible and being in that place of creation and possibility. So that's why I love this work, Spectrum Life Design, Los Angeles. The work that is known to many as transformational, experiential work. And we say experiential because it's not didactical. It's not, in our trainings we don't have note taking. There isn't a teacher in the front with a chalkboard and things to memorize.
Right.
It's experiential in nature. And it's not motivational either. Although some people see motivation in there and people become motivated, it's not just strictly motivation, where it lasts a day or a couple of months and that's it.
Yeah.
It's experiential in nature.
Now, you're one of the most passionate individuals that I know within the transformational arena, the personal development, the experiential work.
Yeah.
I've been in the room with you and I've seen the passion that you have. You're so dedicated to this. Why?
It made a huge impact in my life. I did these kind of trainings when I was 18 years old, back in 1985. And it changed my life forever. It's always been a part of my life. What I mean by always being part of it, I always practiced it. I had my best friend who I went to high school with, he did the trainings with me. So we were always around each other, and we always supported each other. So it's a way of being, it's a practice. So we always had it in my life. I met my wife through the trainings. So we always supporting each other at home. And the amount of stuff that I created is just unbelievable. But one of the most powerful thing that I created for myself by doing these trainings is I opened up a possibility in a relationship with my father that would have never occurred.
Wow.
Never. Life would have just kept on going the way it does, and I would have just been in the mindset, in the conversation that this is just simply my relationship that I have with my father, and that's just the way that it is. But through these trainings, I saw another possibility, and I was supported in how to nurture that possibility and look at other things that opened up even more possibilities. And out of that, I created some amazing things within my family.
Wow.
Yes.
So you say it has transformed your life completely.
Yes.
Who was Daniel before all of this?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a tough one. But what's more clear for me is I see how I would have become. And how I would have become is a person who is very quiet, very serious, doesn't share much of himself to people. I probably would have been in the military or a police officer or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's the model that I was raised into being in a military family. So I would have been really like, stern and quiet and walled up and that's the way I would have been.
Yeah.
And I guess to a point, maybe that's how I was before I did the trainings. So, yeah.
It was so long ago you don't remember that Danny boy.
I can remember things that I did, but I can't even relate to how I was. I had no direction. I wasn't connected to my passion. I know that I might be going into the military, and I was preparing for that, but I had no passion. I wasn't fully expressing my true self. I didn't know how to do that. So thank God I did these trainings. So
Absolutely. I think I did my transformational work and trainings about 8 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to share what it did for me was, more than anything, I was in a place where I had created my life in a way that it really wasn't me. And I did that because situations that occurred in my life, and I began to put all these walls up. And I became very harsh, very hard. And it wasn't the Maggie that I am now, super friendly. Because I always was super friendly. But then people began to take advantage of being so friendly. And so then I said, you know what? I can't be that way anymore. And so I began to put all these very stone walls around me.
yeah,
And I didn't like it at all. Because it wasn't me. It was just not me.
yeah,
And I didn't know how to tear them down anymore. And so I just blamed life
yeah.
and say, well, life made me this way. Well, life made me this way. So if you feel like that right now, that life made you that way, it's not true. You made yourself that way. Now, the point is, how do we break those freaking walls? Right? And so I'm so glad that I came across, my time when I was able to experience these amazing experiential trainings, that I was able to really look within myself. And what I always called it was this crystal ball. Because people ask me, well, what is it? I said, well, for me, this is my interpretation of it.
Everyone has a different way of explaining the training.
Exactly. For me, it's like a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And I get to see my life in this crystal ball. And at the same time, I get to crack it open and go through it and see little different areas in my life, different bits and pieces of it, and say, oh, yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, that doesn't work for me anymore. Yeah, no. And so I began to clean it up.
Yeah.
And so now when I see it, it's a different perspective. What I didn't like anymore, all those walls, I was able to break them, chop them up, and dissipate them into nothingness, so that I can live the life where on a daily basis now I am the one that chooses how I choose to experience what I'm experiencing while I'm experiencing it.
Yes.
Which is the only thing that matters. Because life, right?
Yeah.
Life could be life, and life will be life. But at the same time, at the moment that life is happening, how do you feel to choose about that?
Yeah. And that's what's amazing in the work, is that you get to see you doing you.
Yeah.
You get to see you doing life. And in these trainings, there's going to be a little bit of lecture, and then there's going to be this big part where it's experiential, like a game or a group event or something. And then there's going to be sharing. And I always think that sharing is the most amazing, powerful part.
Yeah.
Because in this training, you will hear people and you'll hear the trainer say a lot, what did you notice? What did you notice? I joke with my friends sometimes. I tell them, this is nothing but just a noticing workshop. And you're put in these situations. And that's so powerful. That's what makes these trainings so powerful, is because your whole life you look at a particular thing. Like for me, it was my relationship with my dad. And that's the way I always saw it. And that's the way it'll always be. Kind of like a horse with blinders. This is it. This is the way it is. And for the first time in my life, in that training, I was able to see Dad, or my relationship with Dad, from a different angle, a different perspective. And I did that. I experienced that. And that right there is so powerful. Yeah. When a person makes that distinction themselves, that's something that you'll never forget. That's not a lecture. That's not a rah-rah. That's not motivation. That's something that that individual created. And we have a whole room of people doing that for themselves. Yeah. And that's just really powerful. It's amazing some of the aha moments that people have, because they just made a distinction that was always there their whole life. They just never noticed it. Yeah. They never noticed it. And that right there is just so powerful. Yeah. Because in that moment, what happens out of that shift in perspective pops out possibilities. Like maybe this isn't really the way my dad is. Yeah. And maybe I could have a different kind of relationship with that person. So, and it's exciting.
Yeah. What I like to call it is when you have clarity and when you have certainty, then you open up the door for possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's the biggest thing ever. And aha moments are the best. Try to figure out how many aha moments you can have on a daily basis, because that will allow you just to continue to grow and acknowledge where you're at, what's happening, you know? And the most important thing, I think, for everyone, that wherever you go to be able to have an experience where you shift and shake off a lot of things that have been affecting you for, you know, days, months, years, your whole life. It's being able to ground yourself, align yourself, to be able to register what's going on and catch it. It's like, okay, whoa, let me register this right now. How do I feel about it? Really, how do I feel about it? Not what I think about the situation. It's really, how is it registering? And unless you are grounded in life, you won't be able to actually really register and get it, grasp it, be like in tune with life. And one of the things that is the most important part of this work is grounding. Are you grounded?
Yes, being connected. That's why our course is called the Connections Course. And it's broken up into 3 parts, because it would be way too much to do all in one time. And the connection, why we call it the Connections Course, is because you connect. Everything is about connection. We're connected. We're connected with our society, our government, our neighbors. And in this course, people get to connect or reconnect with their passion, their vision that they had when they were younger. So they get to connect with their heart. They get to connect with their creativity. So that's why we call it the Connections Course. And it's broken up into 3 parts. And the first part, that part is called Freedom, the Freedom Course. Yeah. And a lot of people, we call that because a lot of people experience this coming out of the first level training. I know that's what I experienced. Being freed up. I mean, I only was 18. I didn't have a lot of baggage to hold on, but I was so freed up. I felt so lighter. All the stuff that I made up about myself, I can let go. Stuff I made up about the world, I can let go of that. I was really, really freed up. So people experience freedom. So that's why we call it the Freedom Course. Yeah. And our second level, we call that Life Design, because that's where the big work is done. as you know. It's life design. That's where you get in there and you get to design with other people, other students, and yourself, and you get to design an amazing possibility and have it show up in action in that particular course. And then the third and final part of the course is called velocity. And that is the reason why we call it velocity, because that's what a lot of graduates of that work experience. Velocity, speed, going in a fast pace in a particular destination, a chosen destination. And that's why we call it velocity. And what that one is about is putting everything that you learned from the first one and the second one and how to apply that into a practice into your daily life. And that's what that one supports you.
Yeah, because you need a coach in life.
Absolutely. Like you.
Everyone in life would be better off with a coach and is better off with a coach. Whether you're in sports, whether you're in politics, whether you're in whatever it is that you're in. If you're a mom, it would be great to have a coach to support you being a better mom, a better wife, life coach.
Well, everyone in our society that is famous or hugely successful, they've always had coaches.
Yeah.
Even from the very beginning when they were nobody and they were starting off, they had coaches. Even people who know their field have coaches, like Tiger Woods. He knows his craft.
Right.
He knows that. But he has so many coaches for all the different little aspects because he can't see himself when he's up there in the lights on the green.
Yeah.
So it's great to have coaches. That's for anything and everything. Why not?
Yeah. And there's those individuals that are very multi-talented and are amazing life coaches that are able to support you in business and life and different aspects of your life and be able to like hit every point because they're amazing. They're masters at their craft. And then there are those life coaches that specifically do like relationships or marriage or business, finance. And it's important to find them. Find them, look for them so that you can just continue to see how you can recreate yourself into a better version of yourself. And that's my thing right now. I just continue to see how I can recreate myself on a daily basis to be a better version of another Maggie that is just moving forward and creating the best that I can with every word, with every thought, with every action moving forward. So I think that velocity is what that is you're having this life coach that is working with you so that putting things into practice.
Yes, it is.
Creating new habits in life. Because all we need to do is recreate the habits that we have.
Yeah.
And stop reacting to things and come from the place of action, of actually registering the information before we take action. So that
and that's why you do what you do for the community and always focusing out and putting out. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because everyone has a vision, whether they realize what that is or not. We all have a vision, and vision plus committed action plus team equals extraordinary results.
Yeah.
And we have our vision, we realize what our vision is, and then we be in committed action, and we have a team of people like yourself. Or like in Spectrum, we have a team of people. We all work together. And out of that, we create extraordinary results.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting.
It is. It's absolutely exciting because it's like a huge mastermind game.
It's a huge mastermind. It is the most fun mastermind game because it's not just in a room around a table and everyone just talking and having coffee. It's exciting, right? And you get out there and you create things with a team of people that have your back, that are not going to let you down, and they will stay up all night, not because they're not sleeping, but because they're excited.
You don't have to.
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't want to. It just happens. It's just
over
part
the
of
years,
nature.
I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it over the many years. The most unbelievable things created.
Yeah.
Without any evidence that it actually could happen.
Yeah.
So I don't care what kind of dreams you have.
Yeah.
Get clear about that and commit to it in the face of no evidence. No, not enough money, not enough education, born on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. It doesn't matter. I don't care how ridiculous it is. It will manifest. It's about creating results.
Yeah.
And that's what we're up to. We're about having people's dreams happen.
Yeah, you totally experience things that you would never think that they'd be possible. You know?
I know.
How did I get there in 5 minutes? Like that's impossible. Like that I was just talking about that with a good friend of mine, where I was driving by like Lincoln, like by Manhattan Beach area. Down Lincoln Street, and I passed the road. It just like it was a flashback, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I saw the streets. And I was like, "I remember, I got here in 5 minutes. Like there's no possible way
Yep.
that could have happened. Like I was in the room within 5 minutes, and I still had to go down the freeway and park and run, not walk. But I made it in 5 minutes, and you're like,
and that
how did I do that?
That wasn't by chance. And this happens all the time. And people go, "Oh, that was just coincidence," or "That was just by chance." No, it's not. It happens because you are powerful enough to have it happen. Now that may seem for some people really hard to grasp. But there was a friend of mine who I enrolled in the training, and he had to be someplace. I mean, it was a court-related event. He needed to be there. So he couldn't be at two places at the same time. He couldn't be at the court thing, and he couldn't be at the training. But when working with him, like we work in the training, is not what does he need to do in order to get them to move the date so he can be in the training. That's a doingness.
Yeah.
Like, get the information and I'll just do it. We don't work like that at Spectrum. We work on who you're being, your beingness, such that other people will fall in alignment with what you're about.
Right.
And out of this, he got very clear about his commitment to do the training. And they moved the date, so now he can be in the training. And I told him, that wasn't coincidence. I want you to really, really know that. That had everything to do with you. And if people get clear about who they're being in the moment, you would be very surprised on how people will show up to support you. Or how and some people say, how the universe will get into alignment and support you, like clearing the traffic somehow, such that you're there on time.
Yeah.
So I often tell our students that there's no such thing as coincidences. And I remind them, I said, as you're going through this journey, you'll start seeing, and it may happen to you really soon, where you start realizing that you are the designer of your coincidences based on how you're showing up in the world, your beingness.
Yeah.
And that's very, very powerful.
And talking about connections, like you said, the whole course, the whole 3-tier is connections.
Yes.
And I think it's important also to talk about that. Because
Yes.
you touched on how we're all connected. We're all involved and but really getting down to how are we energetically connected?
Yes.
Like the universal appointments, let's call that. The universal appointments of being there at that time that we've made pacts with others, strangers.
Yeah.
That you meet them at the time where you're supposed to meet them and cross paths.
Yes. And
then you're like, that is so weird. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not weird because it was an aligned appointment. It was a universal appointment already created so that would happen.
Yeah.
And those, when you're able to
and it's
savor them.
Yeah. And it's an alignment.
Literally savor them like, oh my God, this is so amazing how we just we were there.
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
when that happens with me, I always say thank you for making our appointment. You know, because
Yeah.
that is so awesome. We're able
Yeah.
to like really like just gel for that time and be like, wow, like this is so amazing.
It is an absolutely beautiful moment when things like that happen. You can feel it. You can feel it within you. So that is, having people realize that and be the creators of that is so important. I often use the analogy of people who want to be in a relationship, find the one. And I tell them, I say, I'm going to suggest something. I'm going to suggest that Mr. Right or that Mrs. Right is always there. That Mr. Right has probably passed you at least 5 times today on all different kinds of Mr. Rights. And they've all passed you. You just don't see it. And as soon as you get very clear about what you're about, the universe will have that connection with you.
Yeah.
And it'll be in alignment. There'll be 2 appointments. It'll meet. And then lo and behold, out of who you're being now, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And how many of you have bought a car or think about buying a car, and you're thinking about a particular model, and you're thinking about it, you're going to take a few weeks to think about it, but you're set to buy a car. And then you drive around all over LA, and what do you see?
All those cars.
You see that same model. It's like everyone has that model.
You're like, what?
That's because of who I'm being. I'm being about a commitment about, I am being very clear, I'm going to buy a car. And I'm thinking about this one. And as soon as we start being very clear that I am absolutely committed in being in a relationship, and you surrender to that vision and that commitment, you're going to start seeing all those people, all those possibilities walking past you in the streets.
Yeah. And like you said, it's about being.
Yes.
And so when you're clear about who you're being,